All right, let's hopefully we get through this.
Alright, what's up, freaks and geeks? It's your boy Rick Dunn here, and I am back again with some of my geek friends. We're going to get into a little bit of what we like to call a review, actually, of the Mortal Kombat movie that just released the reboot, so to speak. And yeah, I got some of my good friends here. You guys know who these guys are. They've been on here before. Mr. Graven One himself. Here for all the rock stars, and Mr. Chase himself, chasing horrors, your horror guru over here. We're gonna talk about our likes and dislikes, and just the overall review of Mortal Kombat. And this is interesting because you got me and Graven. The original Mortal Kombat came out when we were kids, and we got to live through the 30 years of video games, and now we also get to see this new Mortal Kombat from Chase's perspective, as a younger dude. So he's about what? I mean, Chase is what? Well, how old are you?
He's
Chase? 19 years
19.
old. So he's about around the age we were when the original movie came out.
Yeah.
Give or take, So it'll be interesting.
You guys are old.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great. Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. All right, muting his mic. Okay, so yeah. So moving forward, so yeah, let's dig into this, and I will. I definitely have. I guess I could say I have a lot to say, so I won't just hog the mic. I'll let Graven give his first likes. We'll talk likes about the movie so far.
All right.
What did you feel about the movie as far as your likes are concerned?
Well, first of all, I kind of appreciate the fact that we have another movie.
Yeah.
We could have not had one, so I'm really happy that we did at least get that.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that the characters, for the most part, visually and aesthetically, look exactly like they should. They're rich. There's some changes, of course, they could make, but honestly, they really look good. A lot of them really look good. There's a couple of things that I could gripe about. We're talking about the good things. I loved Sub-Zero in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way he carried it. It was nice that they took an angle with him as I look at him kind of like a horror type icon.
Mm-hmm.
They framed him like a Jason or a Michael Myers, where, you're constantly kind of catching up. I see some movement from Chase down here on this, but I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed Scorpion and Bi-Han's Sub-Zero's story a lot in this movie. I thought it was a great start for the film. It showed a lot of depth of character of both of them, and them taking the time to actually kind of flesh out their story a little bit in the beginning. It kind of set the pace for what we wanted to see in a movie with these two characters, so I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed Cabal a lot. The only thing I had a couple gripes with him, but I enjoyed the way he looked, the way that he acted. All the powers looked great. They were on point. Fatalities were strong. There's a lot that I like. I think those are the stronger things of this movie. Just character feel, as far as the way they looked, the way they were developed, and as far as the fact that we actually have a good, strong story start with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So.
All right. And Chase, what are the likes that stand out the most to you? Because obviously, I'm sure there's tons of them, like Graven said, but the ones that stand out the most to you as far as your likes are concerned.
Well, I'll start off with what I liked the most, and it's hard to say, but the opening scene with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, where we see Scorpion family dies. Mm-hmm. Well, since this is a review, sorry for the spoilers, but you should have known before watching it. But anyway.
Yeah, well, they know now, so yeah, we're good.
That opening 10 minutes is what I wanted the whole movie to be.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that. I loved how a subtitle made me really want to focus on these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the actor that plays Sub-Zero, I think his name is Joe Talisman.
Yeah.
I might be pronouncing his last name wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was filming those scenes in the beginning, he was told to slow down his movements. And it's like there's only one person I can think of other than that on camera, and that's Bruce Lee that had to slow down his martial arts ability. And I find that interesting because it just shows you how hard they went to find some of these actors that knew what they're doing. We just didn't get some person that needs a stunt double 24/7. So that opening I appreciate because it was very art film, I want to say, like that very drama that I was hoping. And then from there, there's some things that go, but we'll get into that later. Sub-Zero, like my dad was saying, the fact that he acted like your Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. When he was coming, it made you scared. Like they just didn't make him like, I'm gonna fight you. He's like he wants to murder you. He just wants to bathe in your blood. And I appreciate that. And my favorite character from Mortal Kombat is Reptile. So I was happy that we got a whole scene with Reptile, even if it was short. And it's just that I loved how he looked. To be honest, I was hoping we'd get his outfit, but he looked great. Cabal was amazing. Kano was actually surprising to me because I was expecting to hate him, but he was actually pretty good. I was hoping for the hide thing, but we can get that later. Other things I liked. Really, most of my likeness is towards Sub-Zero and Reptile. I appreciate the movie as a whole because I'm happy we got it.
Yeah.
But I think that pretty much says my likes about it.
All right. Well, likes. I mean, I definitely agree with you guys. The first, right off the bat, I would have to say the first 7 to 10 minutes of the movie and the last 5 to 10 minutes of the movie were my favorite parts of the movie, which both have to deal with Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
100%.
And beyond that, I mean, I did like Kano. I did enjoy what they tried to do with him, like as far as making him funny. It even though I feel like there were times when it was a little too much, it was actually funny. Like I did laugh when he almost
like that egg roll scene.
Yeah, almost every time he opened his mouth, he actually did say something that was funny. You know.
Right.
So I mean, I did enjoy what they wrote for him. The writing for him was hilarious. I liked Kung Lao. I liked his character for the most part.
Yeah, I liked him too.
He had to be honest with you, he had one of the best fatalities in the movie. Hands down. And, you know, and that's a good segue into Sub-Zero's fatality with Jax. Hands down.
That was like perfect right there. Was Jax.
Yeah. You kind of saw it coming because you knew at some point he had to lose his arms. So the whole time I'm sitting there going, how's he going to lose his arms? How's he going to lose his arms? I thought Sub-Zero was just going to chop him off. So that was really creative in how they did that. I was like, oh, wow, that was interesting. So that was cool. I actually enjoyed the guy that they got to play Raiden. I enjoyed Raiden's character, to be quite honest with you. Me too.
Yeah.
I think
I agree.
They could have did more with his character. But I enjoyed the guy who played his character. And the Jax guy, I was really funny because when this whole thing first came out, like we started seeing pictures of it, I remember we all sat around and had a really long, like, gut healthy laugh of the Steve Harvey Jax picture that was going out all over the internet.
For sure.
At the time, I had no clue who the actor was, and come to find out, it's Mekhi Brooks. I think it's Mekhi Brooks or Mikael Brooks, and excuse me, he was from Supergirl, CW Supergirl. He played Jimmy Olsen in Guardian, and I really like him. I like this guy. He's a great actor. I like his whole thing. Like, he was like, yo, this guy's good. You know, so when I realized, I was like, wait a second, I recognize this guy. You know, and I looked him up, like, oh, that's, you know, from Jimmy Olsen. So I was really surprised that, you know, it was who it was. So, but it was funny because, we went through this whole thing with, you know, the whole Steve Harvey Jax thing was hilarious.
Mortal Field.
Yeah. Yeah. So that I mean, yeah, I mean, it was an enjoyable movie. Like overall, it was just an enjoyable, just kind of sit down. It felt like it ended really quick. Like when it was over, I was like, wow, that's it. Like it felt like it went
Yeah,
by real quick.
rushed by fast. Yeah.
So it wasn't a mind blowing film, but it was enjoyable. Like I'm not gonna lie. Overall, I think I probably have more things that I didn't like about it, but
Right.
I will admit that it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
So going into the things that we dislike about it, we'll go the opposite direction, and we'll start with Chase. What were the things that stand out to you that you didn't like about the movie?
I think the most obvious thing about the whole movie would probably be the soundtrack. You can't
Or the
beat that
lack of the
whole movie.
soundtrack. Yeah, the lack of it. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And my biggest gripe with the movie is Cole.
Hmm.
He didn't make sense to me. Like, to me, the whole movie, I was hoping Cole would die. I like the actor that played Cole, but
Cool.
I wish death upon him. Mortal
so,
Kombat should have happened.
well, but I have a very logical reason.
okay. All
Like,
right. Go ahead.
so we're used to Mortal Kombat being Liu Kane, Sonya, and
Mhm.
Johnny Cage, right?
Yeah, for the most
Those
part.
are your three where you follow to see all your other characters.
For the most part, yeah.
So Cole being in the sequel ruins that iconic trio. So to back it up is you got Raiden, which I like how he looked, liked him, but he acted like he was just enough of everyone's crap. It's like Earthrealm has lost 9 times. We just need to get fighters and move.
Hmm.
I thought, what if Cole and his family died, right? And Raiden saw this as he wasn't there teaching them. He just kind of let them do whatever. He was just kind of gave up. This makes Raiden turn into the Raiden we know from the games, where he's like that mentor figure, and then he goes recruit Johnny, and he helps Johnny, and then it kind of gets to that Mortal Kombat we know and love. And Cole could have been what sets up that Mortal Kombat movie we all wanted.
Hmm. So by Cole dying, it would force Raiden to become more of
Mentor.
because Raiden basically just says in the movie that he's not allowed to interfere.
Right.
Um, but by Cole dying, he actually decides to get involved. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it kind of forces that hand, if you will, because Raiden, like I understand what Chase is saying. Like with Raiden kind of felt like he was so haphazardly just done with anything that was. He was irritated. He was inconvenienced with everything that was happening. He had that feeling like that some way, and he sounded like he had a level of desperation. So if by seeing Cole possibly perish could have maybe snapped him into a mindset of being like, I haven't been doing my duties. Like I haven't been handling things the way I needed to. I let my own mental involvement of issues get the best of me here, and it affected good people and a family. And because of that, I have to do what I need to make it right. And therefore, kind of putting him on a path, like Chase was saying, to probably grow his character even more. I agree with you. I think that might have been interesting. I think there were some other things that could have happened to Cole, but continue, Chase. What were some other things you didn't like about the movie?
So there's a couple things. My next thing, I'm looking at notes. Uh, Goro, is that how you pronounce his name?
Goro, yeah.
So I was watching it, and Monica, I don't know if you guys know her, but she's my mom, and she mentioned that he looks like a lot like Hulk. Like if you look at him and take off his ponytail and his bottom two arms, he kind of looks like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in the face.
Okay.
And I was hoping that he looked a little more. He didn't look too menacing to me. He just kind of looked like the Hulk. I was
Mm.
expecting something that we really haven't seen, something that shows him he's from a different realm.
Okay.
And he acted like he was supposed to, but he died way too easy.
Yeah.
It's like Johnny Cage in the original movie had to make him jump off a cliff basically to defeat him.
Yeah.
And in this one, Cole gets some stupid little Power Rangers outfit and somehow defeats him like nothing when Goro was winning. Didn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah. I would. I mean, you don't have to disrespect the Power Rangers, but I mean, yeah,
You're stepping on Rick's territory there.
I love the Power Rangers.
I'm just messing
I
with
really
you.
do, but I'm trying to think
No,
of
I
like
agree.
cheese.
No, yeah, I agree. No, I understand where you're coming from. What do you think? What do you think, Raven dislikes?
As far as the things I didn't like about the film, I definitely can echo the fact that Cole was the weakest link in this film. His story was not needed at all. He wasn't even needed in the film, particularly. I understand the argument that the director and some of the screenwriters had in regards to why they needed him there, but in the reality of it, they really didn't need to. They could have pushed Scorpion and Sub-Zero's story through this. This is the big thing that kept being told. That this whole story was wrapped around Scorpion and Sub-Zero's feud, and that it would weave itself through this story of Mortal Kombat, and that we would see how this is impacting not just the tournament, but how it would impact everybody involved. And unfortunately, by taking and putting Cole in center space, you take away from that dynamic. You took away from the dynamic of what happened between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Scorpion was left out of the movie 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And he just happened to show up at the end of the film. Just because Cole happened to bleed himself with his spear, his trolling tool, which never explained why that would happen. So meanwhile, you have Sub-Zero killing all these people. You have Scorpion's bloodline just happen to be involved now. And the only way Scorpion can come back to defeat Sub-Zero is by bloodletting the main character, and all of a sudden he's back to protect him. Yeah. Like, we don't know what happened to Scorpion during those years. We technically don't even know he's in hell. We have to assume that he's in hell simply because the fans, we know that's where he goes. You see the fire thing happen with him towards the end, or towards the beginning of the film, where he dissipates in flame, but you don't see any other fighter who dies dissipate in flame. So there's no reason to really know what's going on there. As far as like other things in the movie, characters were completely handled in some way generally well, with the exception of a few just being underpowered. Sub-Zero was more powerful than most of the fighters in the whole movie. He was even more powerful to some degree than Scorpion, until the end, when you realize that Scorpion has these flame abilities and he literally does his cliche fatality against him. But we don't know anything about that. We lost ample time to really learn who Scorpion was and how his journey to get back to save his lineage was. It would have been, I think, more interesting, and this is me just throwing out stuff, if Cole would have transformed into Scorpion. If maybe Scorpion and him had to make a sacrifice to bring Scorpion back. Maybe his power wasn't having armor, but actually channeling himself into the new Scorpion, becoming Hanzo, maybe kind of a possession of sorts, if you will. That might have been interesting to play a little bit. So you would have got him involved a little sooner. That's just a thing there. I really despise the idea of the mark, because the mark, as cool as it sounds, on paper, it doesn't add any type of proper effect. It was about Earthrealm's champions, right? It was about fighters coming from all over the world to be chosen, so to speak. And this mark basically forces people that they have to be champions. It's not about them naturally being people who would be proper protectors. It was about because they were chosen. And then the way it was basically, whoever dies gets the mark. So that means people who got the mark, i.e. Kano, were not chosen people.
Yeah.
They were not chosen fighters. They got it,
Dylan.
as a consequence. That's the lazy story process. You have the Arcana, degree how they got it, but then you have some goofiness like Jax with his arms. You have these horrible arms that they gave him, and then all of a sudden his Arcana was to bring his arms out, machinery, to become. Man. That's his Arcana. That was lame, extremely lame.
The Arcana should have been something that brought out what they needed at that moment, which would explain the arms, but they never said that.
Yeah.
Right. And then to have Sonya finally get the mark after killing Kano, and then all of a sudden, as a time of need in the storyline, she automatically can use her Arcana immediately to kill Melina.
Yeah, they Mary sued her.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. It truly was ridiculous with that character. And then you have Liu Kang, and you have Kung Lao. Kung Lao is a beautifully created character in this story. He's one of the strongest characters in the movie, on top of Sub-Zero and Scorpion, right? And he gets killed in the first
Yeah.
movie. And then on top of it, he's an ancestor of Liu Kang. He's not Liu Kang's cousin. And the dynamic they had between him was like Liu Kang was worshiping him and wasn't even able to find his own strength.
Yeah.
Like there was a weird relationship with them two that I think really took you out of the moment between the two characters. Liu Kang should have been stronger than what he was. Liu Kang should have been more in front like he should have been. You know, he is one of the main characters following the normal Mortal Kombat storyline across all games. He's always been wrapped into being that type of character. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot for me to talk about what I didn't like, but they definitely rushed. You get a good 10 minutes of the front end of the movie. You get kind of a strong ending of the movie to some degree with Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Cole, and then the middle just feels rushed and non-built on these characters. And, yeah. I mean, I could go into more, but I'll let you say some stuff. I figured there's some things you want to talk about as well. No. No. Mm-mm. No. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like they just wanted to explain the dragon, you know, and the easiest way they just wanted to just explain why there's a dragon for the more combat symbol.
I mean, I get that too, but they didn't even explain it very well.
Yeah, they didn't.
You know, I mean, the fact that Cole walked around his whole life believing that that was a birthmark. You retard.
There ain't no damn way.
Like, who
no damn
grows
way.
up with
Strange
a
birthmark.
perfectly circular dragon tattoo birthmark? You retard.
Right.
Like, you telling me that you didn't get to a point in your life where you grew up and decided, hey, there's something about this I should be asking questions about. Like, maybe I'm gonna go to a dermatologist or something and get this looked at, because no one grows up with tattoo birthmarks. Like, this is not a thing. So again, it's just there's so many plot holes that didn't make sense. I mean, the Sonya thing, yeah, they Mary sued Sonya so bad. Not only did they Mary sue her, but they set it up for that moment, because up until that moment, like what you said, what you brought up about the tattoos, when she shows up and they make a point to tell her she can't practice with them. She can't practice. You can't practice with us. You don't even have a mark. You're not one of the chosen ones, so you can't be with us. And they go above and beyond to try and break her down. You know what I'm saying? It's like, whoa, she went through all of this to get here. She's willing to put her life on the line. You know what I'm saying? And you're telling her she's not worth shit, you know, just because she doesn't have a mark, you know, and you break her down and then kick her out, basically. And then the moment she gets a mark, she comes rushing in with her powers. Where it took Cole, the main character, half the movie to figure out how to get his powers.
And his family almost died.
His family almost dies in front of his eyes for him to get his powers.
Yeah.
You know,
I think cooler if his family did die.
Of course you would think that. Thanks,
Yeah.
horror guy. But anyway, you know, and then the Goro thing was listen, the special effects for Goro were better. than the special effects. I don't even know if they would. I would say better. I think it's a, and I think Graven will understand what I'm saying. I think it's more of a like a what do you call it? Like a style choice, because the way they did I was gonna say Graven. The way they did Goro in the original movie was not small change, man. Like that stop motion claymation stuff.
That was groundbreaking animatronic.
That was groundbreaking. Yeah, they used the animatronics. I'm sorry, not the claymation, the animatronics. That was groundbreaking for the time.
Did Welker even voice him?
Yes.
Oh,
no. Welker didn't. Welker only voiced some of it, I believe.
Or was it Kevin Michael Richardson?
Kevin Michael Richardson, I think, voiced him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he actually had words in that movie. You know, and so yeah, but the animatronics that they did for that were groundbreaking. So I think that's just more of a choice. I can't even say just because this was CGI it was better. You know what I'm saying? And
different categories.
Yeah, it's just you like one thing more than you like another. Cause
I feel like the special effects was easier probably and least expensive, so they could have a small budget to make more movies.
Yeah. I mean, because Goro wasn't in the movie. He was only in the movie in that fight scene. Like that was it. And he was literally there all of 5 minutes just to get his ass handed to him, and die at the end, and that was it. And that was it's almost like I mean I don't know, man. If you don't have the money to do it, then just don't do it. Like why you robbed us? Yeah, you robbed us of this character that was a main character in the story arc in the beginning in the main original movie, and he's just there for 5 minutes just to get this fight on and get killed. So. There's a lot of that in the movie, man. I mean, Kung Lao, the way that he died was horrible. I thought that was really bad. You know, like he's there. He has one of the best fatalities. He's one of the best fighters, and he literally just gets murked like that. You know what I'm saying? Gets his soul stolen. They completely neutered Liu Kang. Like he walked around like this weird little shattered puppy. He was very timid and quiet. You know, and he was like, you know, Kung Lao is the best that ever existed. Like he was Kung Lao's little man boy. You know,
there was a weird romance.
It
seemed like there was a weird romance almost.
You should bow at the feet of Kung Lao. Kung Lao will save your life. It was like, whoa, dude. Like, okay, we get it, bro. You got a man crush on your cousin. Like, all right, cool. You know,
maybe it's Kentucky.
Jeez, all right. Let's not talk about those types of things right now. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of you know, the way Kano got his Arcana was kind of ridiculous. I mean, it was funny, but it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Jax's Arcana, like you said, was garbage. What's her name? Sonya should have died under that rock.
Yes.
There's no reason why that whole rock fell on her, and she was not dead. Like seriously,
or at least badly injured.
Like he picks the rock up. She looks at him like, "Oh wow, thanks for that. That was just under here." You know, like, "Oh okay, then, wow, that didn't do anything. It was a waste of time." So yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, listen, I enjoyed the movie as far as like it was just it was what it was supposed to be, but I just don't understand why it had to be that. Like it was supposed to be a thoughtless. Summer popcorn movie that you just shove popcorn in your face, you don't think anything about. But I just don't understand why it had to be that. I feel like the original movie was even more thought-provoking than this movie was. And even the original movie for the time was a popcorn shove-in-your-face movie. But I feel like they put more thought into that movie than they did this movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, the first one had its issues. Let's just put that across. We know it had issues. We know that it had a lot of problems. It had a lot of problems with some of the casting choices and some of the, you know, cultural issues and some of the storyline and the major cheese that was involved. We get that. I get that. I watched it again just to kind of give myself a refresher on it. And honestly, besides us knowing the reality of what those issues were with it, it still felt like there were stakes involved. It still felt like that their characters were being affected emotionally by what they had to deal with, and they had to actually aggressively move forward in the story to figure things out while still developing proper exposition to kind of care for these characters. That didn't happen in this film. It only happened with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. to the most part. It didn't happen with any of the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't care about any other characters' vested interest in fighting anything or defending Earthrealm for that matter. Raiden hides behind his electrical force field. He's nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
you know, I love Raiden. I'm gonna put that right now. Raiden's one of my favorite Mortal Kombat characters. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And he was neutered in this film. He was irritated, angry old man syndrome. Yeah. Didn't want to deal with what he was dealing with. I wanted him to be aggressive. Yeah, let's make him angry, but let's make him show why. Well, when Shang Tsung is more powerful than him, and Shang Tsung's still a human with outworld abilities, technically, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was my other thing. That it was very reminiscent to the original. Not the what was it? The first Transformers, where they kind of made Megatron too powerful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where it was like Megatron came running in, and some of the Autobots wanted to run. Oh, it's Megatron, run! No, that never happened in the cartoons. When Optimus rolled in, everybody scattered. The Decepticons was like, no, Optimus is here, we out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even Megatron would run.
Even Megatron would run. You know what I'm saying? So they made him too powerful, and the same thing with Shang Tsung. If you watch the original movie, Shang Tsung knew his place. And Shang Tsung was only a sorcerer who answered to the Emperor of Outworld. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he's not even the main dude. You know, and in this movie they had Shang Tsung on the same level as Raiden, when Raiden is a god. You know what I'm saying? So, like, how do you got this man who's a sorcerer, and he had no... I mean, they even said at a certain point in the beginning of the movie that Shang Tsung was trying to skirt the rules of the game without letting Raiden know. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then, a third way through the movie, you got Shang Tsung just walking up into Raiden's palace like, I don't care if you know, we're here to kill your people. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? You know, and then...
Raiden would have banished them from there.
Yeah, like they had no fear for Raiden at all, and then all Raiden could do was put up a force field, and it was a force field that Kano easily disrupted.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Like
he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know that Kano's destroying this force field. He's an elder god in his palace.
Yeah.
He would not know this is happening. He would not know that that Shang Tsung and his people were coming. He'd have no idea whatsoever. Come on.
And that Kano would turn on them.
He knew Kano. That's the whole thing with Kano. Like, Kano, I appreciated the humor with Kano, but he became the butt of the joke through the whole movie. Kano is the leader of the Black Dragons. He needed to be almost to a serial killer degree. Yeah. He needed to be evil. You need to be afraid of him. Just what they did with Sub-Zero, they should have paid homage appropriately to Kano. While he has sarcasm, I get that. Make him worthy of his death. Make him worthy of killing people. You know, when you have Cabal be more aggressive and more serious as a Black Dragon operative than the post that created the Black Dragons, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Cabal was, like, I think everybody has said this, and I'm sure we all can agree, was the only... I mean, Kung Lao was a pretty good copy and paste, but Cabal was, like, an exact copy and paste as far as his look was concerned.
Yeah.
Like, they literally copy and pasted his character. Like, he looked exactly like his character. There was, I mean, I almost didn't see anything that looked any different. Even the way they did his power looked exactly like the video game.
Yeah.
You know,
the only gripe I've heard is because of his voice and the actor playing his voice not being particularly Native American, or, you know, it sounded like Bill Burr. People were saying it sounded like Bill Burr was talking.
It was funny. I was talking to Sean earlier because Sean watched it last night, and he was like, and he was like, "Hey man, what's up with that robot guy?" And I was like, "Robot guy?" And he was like, "Yeah, the guy with the mask." I was like, "Oh, he's not a robot. He's just a guy under a mask." He's like, "Yeah, why is he sounding like some guy from New York or Flushing, Queens or something?" Yeah. Like, he had this this New York accent. Hey, with the New York accent. He's like, "Where did that come from?" I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know why they decided to do that. That made no sense to me.
I think they decided because the actor that voiced him, forget his name, but he's famous for playing Charles Manson in a TV show and a movie and a couple other villain roles, so that he's an experienced villain actor, so they thought we'll put him with a villain character.
Was he the one that voiced him in this movie, or was
he voiced Cabal in this movie? Someone else played Cabal, but he provided the voice.
Because what was Cabal's voice in the game?
Definitely wasn't heavy New Yorker. I
Yeah.
don't remember it
It
being
was
that.
it was definitely kind of like humorous and sarcastic, like he acted in
Yeah.
the movie. But he definitely had a his voice was deeper, I felt like, in the game,
Well, you got to understand, Cabal's the only other Native American in Mortal Kombat,
other than Nightwolf.
other than Nightwolf. So I feel like they could have had a stronger correlation to that a little bit in his
Mm.
voice. Not Nightwolf speaking, if you will, but a little more coalesced to the to a tribal identity, and maybe getting an actor to play that role would have been nice. A
Mm.
voice actor would have been nice to play that role, rather than just picking somebody different.
Because
You
basically
know,
they just did Johnny Depp from Lone Ranger.
pretty much. Pretty much. I love the character. I mean, he looked great. He handled himself great. I loved him.
Mm.
I think General Reiko was a waste, but he was just used to move Jax along in the story. I think bringing
Yeah.
in Natiri, the vampire chick, was a waste because
Complete waste.
she was a great character, and they used her as a puppet for Shang Tsung to die in no fashion of defense at
Yeah,
all.
they only brought her in. They only brought her in so that Kung Lao can have that fatality. That was the only reason why they introduced her. You
Yep.
know, it was a great fatality. I'm not gonna lie. I was
Right.
like, wow, that was dope.
I would have
that was.
liked that fatality to happen on Cabal instead.
Well, I mean, either way, it
Like,
would still been dope.
well, think about it, like Cabal, his speed running, and then Kung Lao is his hat speed, and then
Mm.
seeing these two people fight.
There's speed versus speed. I get you.
That's true. I mean, that's the other thing about the movie, that some of the fights that they paired off on in the very beginning didn't make any sense. Like you had Cole fighting what was the girl with the
Melina?
mouth, Melina.
Melina.
Yeah, you had Cole fighting Melina, and who else was it? Cole fighting Melina, and
Jax Fine Rico.
Jax
Yeah.
fighting Reiko. Yeah, Jax was fighting Reiko somewhere else.
Yep.
But there was that scene. It was a couple people. It was right before Sonya boom tubed in and took out Melina.
Liu Kang versus Cabal.
Liu Kang versus Cabal. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't feel like the
Well,
pairs
actually,
were right.
Louis Tan, who played Cole, was talking about that there's additional fight scenes and other scenes that were cut, including his favorite fight scene from the movie.
Really?
So it's like, I'm thinking, you got this, your main actor, his favorite fight scene's not even in the movie. Makes me wonder, what is this fight scene?
Yeah.
And who died?
And how much was cut out that could have made this movie even stronger?
Oh boy, so you're gonna have to wait for the director's cut of this one
Yeah.
to see what was cut out of it.
Well, even they said that Johnny Cage might have made an appearance. So if it wasn't for the pandemic, they were thinking of having the ending, instead of ending on that poster of Cage, they're going to end at the Warner Brothers studio lot, and Cole and Sonya were going to we're looking for a guy named Cage. And then you don't see his face, but you see some guy walking out and saying, "Oh, that's me," basically. That was supposed to be the ending, but the pandemic ended it. So it's like, because of the pandemic and then other things, it's like we probably could have had a much better, deeper movie, but they try to play it. I feel like this movie played it very safe.
It definitely did. It definitely played it way too safe, as far as I'm concerned. I think I saw a rumor today that it looked like it was a picture of Chris Pratt as Johnny Cage.
Oh yeah, Boss Logic did that.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know if there's a rumor that they're either going for him or they want him or what. I don't know. I didn't actually read
Well, from what I was looking at, so the movie already made $50 million at the box office, and its budget was $55 million. So I have a feeling we're going to get a sequel. And for a sequel, they're looking for an A-list Hollywood actor for Johnny Cage. And they've been talking about Chris Pratt, Ryan Reynolds, and I think I saw Channing Tatum on one. So they're definitely looking at those actors.
That makes sense, because that's exactly what I thought when I saw Chris Pratt. I was like, okay, if they're going to go that route, it could be Chris Pratt, it could be Ryan Reynolds. I mean, I think
see a nut shot.
I think Chris Pratt makes the most sense, personally. Yeah, I just, I don't know. I mean, I love Ryan Reynolds too, but I just feel like, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like him in the movie would take me out of the movie for some reason.
Well, yeah, because
You
you'd see
know.
Deadpool the whole time.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
You
I
see
don't know.
Deadpool.
Yeah, I think Chris Pratt would probably fit better. But
I would say John Claude Van Damme if he was looked better, because
if he
Johnny
looked
K
better,
was based off of John Claude Van
if he
Damme.
looked better, you mean if he wasn't
What, a
as
70?
yeah, if he wasn't 70
Oh,
something years
I'm
old.
fine if he's in his 70s. It's just
Oh, okay. Now you're fine with old people. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah, I hear this. You know, I
I'm fine with some old people.
Okay.
I I'd have to say, just in general, another thing I have a kind of a gripe with this is that I don't know if I know there's a lot of minutia in making movies. I know there's a lot of issues that have to happen to make it. So we should be thankful we even have it. But I just think of things like Expendables, like that first Expendables, even the second Expendables, and just how the fight choreography was,
Mhm.
and how the old '80s fight scenes were really good. Let's talk about Scott Adkins fight scenes in movies and
Oh,
things like that. I mean,
love Scott Adkins.
I think there's no reason.
He's
Let's
amazing.
look at the movie The Raid. There's no reason why we're not getting strong fight scenes when the whole movie is based on
Well, it's
fighting.
funny enough you say the Raid. The actor that plays Sub-Zero
Yeah,
is one of the main
exactly.
characters in the Raid.
Right.
In fact, the guy that played Jack said he watched the Raid before filming his fight scene with Sub-Zero, and he was like, "Damn, why did I watch this?"
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I just think there's no excuse that we have to have subpar fighting in a film. That's called Mortal Kombat.
Well,
I feel like
by now,
When we
yeah.
have movies like John Wick.
yeah, I think John Wick, the team that put John Wick together should have been putting together Mortal Kombat.
Mhm.
Hands down, period, end of story.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I dislike what we've got.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I dislike the opportunity to see a new director have his first chance. And I love James Wan involvement in producing things because he has a track record of doing strong things. But my thing is, this is not the franchise to gamble on. This is not the franchise to gamble on, not in this day and age.
Well, it's also a franchise that makes sense to go balls out on. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that we have the movie called The Raid and Raid 2, that
Yeah.
we live in a world that we have those movies. We have movies like John Wick. We have a lot of other movies that are very graphic and very brutal. And then you create a movie about a video game that was one of the things that set that standard about being brutal and graphic. And
Right.
and it's all this movie, even though it was rated R, and in
Yeah.
a sense it might as well have been PG-13 because it was very not what it could have been.
There is no
You know.
really R-ratedness till like the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I remember there's another guy that I watched that did a review on it, and he said what he said made a lot of sense. The fight scenes didn't have any weight to them. Like
No.
there was no, like when you look at the Raid, the fight scenes have a lot of weight. Like there's brutality, people are getting hit, there's blood, like they look hurt. Where in this movie, people would fight and they just brush it off at the end of the fight. Like, oh, okay, we're finished now. I'm just gonna go get.
When in the
drink.
Mortal Kombat games, once you got in a fight, someone's gonna die at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the brutality and the heaviness was just not there. All the fight scenes. The only time it was there, obviously, was the first scene in the movie with Hanzo and Bihan. That fight scene was the only one that had the weight to it. Every other fight scene in the movie, even the one at the end where Scorpion fights Sub-Zero, didn't have as much weight to it.
Right.
Honestly, at the end with Scorpion Sub-Zero, we should have had a fight that mimicked the opening, but was more in Scorpion's favor. That's how they should have ended it.
Well,
have his revenge. They robbed him from his revenge.
Well, they tried to do that with. Now it was instead of Hanzo's wife and kids, it was Cole's wife and kids.
Yeah.
Well, it's like there was this animated movie that came out, Mortal Kombat: Scorpion's Revenge, and that movie does a great job at showing Scorpion's story throughout it. It's like he's not the main character, but his flashbacks are spliced throughout the movie. It's on HBO Max. And that's what I thought this movie was going to be. It wasn't going to be all Scorpion, but we're going to get flashbacks showing how he becomes Scorpion.
Yeah, they didn't. They kind of filled you in at the end when Scorpion comes back, and he decides to tell you that when he went to hell, he gain. I don't know how did he gain control of the Hellfire. I don't know. He just decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to gain control of Hellfire. And then it just happened. I mean, like Graven said in the beginning of the podcast, how did he get transported to hell? No one else had that happen. Why did it happen to him? You know what I'm saying? Why was he just chosen to get transported to hell? It just happened for no reason. And then no one ever said why. Not even Raiden. When Raiden was telling Cole about the story, that would have been a perfect time for Raiden to say, so-and-so decided to pull him to hell.
On cheat.
Some for a reason, but they didn't get into any of that. Again, the plot holes in the movie, like Graven said, the whole middle of the movie was just really just kind of hodgepodge together.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, because this movie could almost have the same weight to it as a Lord of the Rings. Like, it has enough mythos to be a 6-movie continuation. Like, you could breathe that much life into this movie between Earth, the Earth realm, and Outworld, and all the characters, and even add some new ones. There could be so much meat on the bone to this story and the world that it could literally look like a Lord of the Rings when it's all said and done. And they just kind of chose to give us, a popcorn eater.
And that's fine. A popcorn movie is fine, but at some point, when are you going to stop? When are people going to stop using the term popcorn movie for bad movie making?
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat could be like, I'm fine with Mortal Kombat being a popcorn movie, but I want it to be a bloody, gory, fun time popcorn movie. Where I can kind of relax. I don't want. It's easy to do a good story and it still be a relaxing movie that's still cool.
I mean, the thing that makes Mortal Kombat is the characters.
Yeah.
And the fact is, in the video game, you have all the time in the world to get into all the characters and decide which ones you love the most. So, I mean, if you're going to make this movie feel like the game, and you're going to invest us into the movie as much as we are invested in the game, you need to give us the character building. We need to get into the characters. We need to decide that we love the characters for a reason. We need to fear for their lives for a reason. We need to go. This movie basically needs to set up itself in a way that you really don't know who's going to die.
Like Game of Thrones.
Like Game of Thrones. You literally should be watching this movie going, anybody could die in this movie. Yeah. Seriously. Like, there's no way, when you watch this movie, you knew who was going to die and who wasn't going to die.
Oh, easy.
They're not going to kill this person. There's no way they're going to kill this person. But that's the way the movie should feel. It should be one of those where you're like, I have no clue who's going to die right now.
Well, in the video games, when they end up, in the later games, they killed off Sonya, and you've been playing her all this time, and you never knew they would ever kill her, but she just died like nothing. And it made people be shocked.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen.
I mean, they could have taken. I mean, I saw an interview where the director said they couldn't do this. I understand why they didn't. Apparently, they couldn't do world building like I was going to suggest, like the Marvel thing, where you do like Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero versus Scorpion, Mortal Kombat Sonya and Jax, Sonya versus Kano, and build different independent films that focus on their character arcs and how important the tournament is and how they're slowly being moved through with Raiden as a narrator in this process. And I think it would have gave more depth to these characters and then build to that tournament, like the event, like Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity War. Like, you build all these films to build these character depths. But that's something the director kind of talked about how he wanted to do, or a screenplay writer did as well, and they just studio didn't want to do that. I mean, I get that, I understand that.
Oh, okay.
But at this point, they had to kind of work with all these characters. My thing is, at this point, you have to decide who else you're going to sacrifice. Because at this point, you have too many characters trying to tell this story. You know what I mean? And so you need to cut some of them loose in order to build the characters you want stronger. And they didn't do that here. They kept rushing. I mean, the fact that Kung Lao was killed so easily and Liu Kang didn't do anything about it at all. And then Raiden ran away. He took them all into the void.
Yeah. And then left the other one, left Kung Lao, basically.
Yeah, left him he was dead, left him.
Yeah.
Nobody tried to fight Shang Tsung. At that point, there should have been a fight that should have transitioned into Liu Kang handing something to Shang Tsung, having a fight with him. That could have rolled right into a strong fight. Like he just killed Kung Lao, my cousin, who I loved.
Mm.
I need to fight this guy. You know what I mean? Like I need to take him out by
Yeah.
whatever the chance.
They could have easily probably took like Sub-Zero during that whole scene when Raiden ran out. Sub-Zero is the only character that did anything. He's like, I'm gonna go to Cole's family and mess it up because that's what I want to do, while everyone else was just sitting there doodling around.
Yeah, I think they definitely pulled Shang Tsung out of the box too early. Like he definitely didn't need to kill anybody in that movie. He shouldn't even been there, to be honest with you. He should have just sent his people. But the fact that he was there, I was like, all right, fine. But it was too early for that. Like they didn't need to have him steal a soul. That should have been something that lurked. That was like a lurking thing. That Shang Tsung will steal your soul. He does this. Well, steal your soul. What does that mean?
Like Candyman.
Like something.
You say it 5 times.
Yeah, something that laid in the background, and then maybe in the second movie you finally get to see him do it. And the soul stealing scene should have been way cooler than it was. Like it has him stealing a soul like that. There's so much room to make it really freaking cool looking, and they just kind of went through it. It's like, oh, I steal your soul.
I thought he was using the Force when he grabbed him by, sucked him to this hand. It was like a Darth Vader moment.
Yeah, exactly. A really bad looking Darth Vader moment, but yeah, I mean, again, it's like you said, it just kind of. There was hodgepodge together. I mean, like, I'm not surprised. You talked about the interview with the writers or whatever, and they said that the production company wanted things a certain way. I'm not surprised. I mean, that makes sense in this day and age. It seems like that happens more often than not, where the production company just wants an easy win. They're just like, no, we just want something easy. We don't need anything too complicated. We don't want you to try and reinvent the wheel. We want you to just give us a way to make extra money. Like we don't care.
Well, that's
about the art.
Funny to me because Warner Brothers is trying to go against the MCU. Look what happened with the DCU. So you think they would take any chance possible to do a franchise because they want to catch up with the MCU? But it's like they really don't care. Actually,
I mean, again, if we're talking Warner Brothers, obviously Warner Brothers is having their own little internal civil war. It seems like they got a lot of. They have too many chiefs in the kitchen and not enough people, too many people trying to lead, and that's the biggest problem with Warner Brothers. You have all these people making decisions, and and no one's playing on the same team. So
I hate to say it, but they're a hot mess right now.
Yeah, because last I looked at it, you had the head of Warner Media, then you have the CEO of I forget how it broke down. It was like 4 or 5 different people, and they were all in different CEO roles. But of you have Warner Media, you have Warner Films, you have HBO Max, you have what I'm saying, like all these different, and then each one of these people are CEOs for these different branches, and they're all doing their own thing. It's, what I'm saying? It's like what like instead of there's no Kevin Feige. There's no one person who says this is what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's their problem. Like they don't have that that captain running the team.
No, not at all.
Hopefully they'll get that fixed very soon. Hopefully, but I don't know.
I feel like they're bleeding money. I don't know how much longer they can keep doing it.
Oh, it's funny. With Warner Media and all that, HBO Max just got the rights to a TV show called Warrior because Cinemax quit doing original content. And Warrior is a show based on stuff Bruce Lee was writing, but he died before he could do it.
Yeah.
It has 2 seasons. HBO Max is saying they're going to do a 3rd season. And they got to play Sub-Zero as a bad guy and work. But if Warrior can be made, like, if you look at that, they have a tournament scene that's so amazing that it rivals the entire Mortal Kombat movie. And it's like, the producer of that show is Justin Lin. He directed Fast and Furious and other stuff. And I'm thinking of that director and others, what they could have done that maybe could convince the studio. Because they have a first-time director The studio is not going to take a big chance on a first-time director, whether you have James Wan behind you or not.
Huh. Yeah. So Warrior, was that on Netflix? Was it originally on Netflix, or has it always been on HBO Max?
I don't know. Can you hear me? You there?
I think
I think he's frozen.
we got him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The screen froze and Rick was in a weird position. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, no, I'm always in weird
All right.
positions. But yeah,
So,
no,
what are you saying now?
was because I know Sean has been watching Warrior. Has it always been on HBO Max, or was it on Netflix?
It was on Cinemax.
It was on Cinemax. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if you heard of the show Banshee.
Yeah.
It had the guy that played Homelander as the lead.
Yeah.
The creator of that show took Bruce Lee writings, and technically, Bruce Lee wrote this, and they used part of it to do the '70s show Kung Fu.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I've only started like the first season of Warrior, but from what I'm seeing, it's like if that can exist, there's no reason Mortal Kombat should be the way it was.
Yeah.
No reason. There's no excuse.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a good show. And
it's very adult.
Yeah.
Just like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And the fight scenes match the rage. It's like it's brutal. It's like that's like gut wrenching when you see them fight. It's like blood, teeth, everything goes.
Well, I mean, when you get hallway fights like Daredevil season 1, there's like, what more can you say? Like, there's enough homework out there that can be done to really create a good atmosphere with these characters. There definitely can be.
Or that scene in Extraction, where you see that Chris Hemsworth take out people in that whole 14-minute long take.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. That was so much fun. But again, like you said, in Extraction as well as in the Daredevil, even though, of course Daredevil's not going to die in that hallway scene, but you still feel the weight of that fight.
You're exhausted.
Like by the time he gets halfway through the fight, he's like, "Oh my god, oh okay."
And he ends up like
I gotta fight
almost
8 more guys.
Goes home and gets sewn up, and he passes out.
That's what I'm saying. You feel like he doesn't just walk away. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody in this movie, they would fight, get their ass beat, and then just kind of walk away from it. Like it just didn't happen.
Like when Sub-Zero threw that ice at Kung Lao. When Sub-Zero first got at Raiden's temple, there's no way Kung Lao should have got up from there without bleeding. That ice, how sharp it was, should have cut him.
Yeah.
And when Sub-Zero picked him up and started frostbiting him, there's no reason that he shouldn't have had some wound on him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it's just the weight was off. Yeah, so I guess since we already know they're going to do a season 2, and we know they're obviously going to bring in, as of right now, bringing in Johnny Cage. Who else do you think they're going to bring in for the second movie?
Baraka.
You think they're going to bring Baraka in?
They did Melina. If you can do Melina, there's no excuse why I can't see Baraka.
I mean, listen, I agree with you. I don't understand why they didn't bring. I mean, I would have to say that's another gripe I have is why they chose the people they chose for this movie.
Yeah, it's like I feel like Sub-Zero makes sense because of Scorpion.
Yeah. Sub-Zero makes
General
sense.
Raikou.
Yeah,
his character made no sense. I know why they brought him in for Jax, but you could have brought in a better known. Most people, you have to be a Mortal Kombat fan to really know the lore of him. They could have used any other big hitter. Nektari, they just wanted a vampire so they can sell people on vampires.
Yeah, I mean even Cabal. Cabal wasn't even a first season game addition.
Character.
Like, he came way later.
Honestly, they should have just Reptile should have just replaced Cabal's role if you think about it, because Reptile's a little well known to people. And they could have put a lesser known being at that Reptile scene, Or
they could have just not worried about any of those extra characters from Mortal Kombat 2 and on in the games and just kept the core.
Yeah, good point there.
They could have just kept the core and dealt with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, Kano, Sonya, Raiden, Johnny Cage, keep all those characters, Goro and Shang Tsung. That's enough to build a good, strong story off of those character arcs.
Yeah.
And Liu Kang.
Yep, to start with, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then went down the line with bringing in the different fan service type characters. And they could have done that. They just needed to build a basic structure with these characters, and they just did not choose to do that. They tried to cram everything in as much as they could and then give us reasons why they didn't put Johnny Cage. I get it. But Cole didn't need to be in there at all. So
let's be honest, Cole was basically Johnny Cage. They're Johnny Cage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He was some guy that had nothing known about Mortal Kombat, just like Cage, and was just thrown into it.
Yeah.
He just wasn't funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be beside myself to not say this. I and I've mentioned this to Graven before. I don't understand why they didn't just continue from where they left off in the video games. I feel like the original movie set the original game obviously set this all up, but then the movie came out and took it to a new level, and then all the games after that were just on a whole other level.
Right.
And then obviously, Mortal Kombat Annihilation was garbage, but from that point, the games for the last 20-something, 30 years have been amazing, and they've all taken the story further and further and further and further. And then, the last story, which I think was the last game, this is the last one that I played, which I think was the last game where Kung Lao, Liu Kang becomes the new Raiden.
Yeah, it's Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11, which I thought was an awesome story arc.
Which makes so much sense.
I loved that story arc for that game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though I kind of hated the bad chick, whatever her name was, she was
Kronika.
annoying. Kronika. It was kind of
Well, if you think about it, they should have brought in Robin Shou to play Raiden. It would be great, because I was expecting some actor from the original movie to make a cameo.
Well, yeah, I didn't think about that. That would have been cool too. That would talk about fan service. That would have been cool if they would have made some cameos in the movie, but it would have required them to beef the movie up a lot more than they did. And that movie just literally just jumped from scene to scene.
Well, it's sad that the original actress model they used to model Sonya in the first Mortal Kombat game, at 50 years old, still looks just as good as she did in that time and more fit than the Sonya that's in this current movie.
They should have just brought in Ronda Rousey.
They could have just... And Ronda Rousey plays the voice of Sonya in Mortal Kombat 11, and she can act for that character. Now, do I necessarily like her voicings of the character in the game? Not really. But could I see her in this? I could see her handing Kano his ass better.
Expendables 3, she basically played Sonya.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but if you're putting Ronda Rousey in any movie, this would have been one of the movies.
Absolutely.
Like, this movie didn't require her to be an Academy Award-winning actress. Like, she would have fit in this movie better, because this movie was definitely on her level when it comes to acting. So that's a definitely great idea. They should have used her, you know what I'm saying, because she would have fit right in. So she didn't have much. She didn't have much lines that needed to be said, and I think it would have I think it would have been better than the girl they had. But yeah, I mean, to me, that last MK11, that story arc in that game was phenomenal. When the idea of Liu taking over for Raiden, and then it's just like, now you got a new generation. And they could have continued on from there, and instead of trying to reboot everything. And I think it would have made more sense. But, again, like we said, who knows how much. Maybe when we get the director's cut, we'll learn more about what they wanted to do versus what they were able to do based on the production company. And maybe this, again, is just one of those things where the production company, got too involved when they really didn't need to be involved, which I wouldn't be surprised that's the case.
Yeah. For sure. As far as other characters, I could see them bringing in the second one. Definitely Katana. Definitely bring her in. Melina's the actress who played Melina definitely can be Katana if they want to, because they're twins for the most part. Noob Saibot's definitely going to be in there. I feel like he was supposed to be in this one, but he got cut. I believe because he's even on the listing of actors.
Well, Rain was cut from this movie.
Yep, Rain was cut as well. So, there's other characters that can come in for sure.
I'd like Aaron Black. I'm just a big Western person, so Aaron Black would be.
Well, then I would say I'd love to see Nightwolf, a proper Nightwolf.
Nightwolf.
Well, okay. I mean, when you're talking about good guys, though, obviously they're bringing in Johnny Cage. Right. I mean, was there anybody else from the original movie that was missing from this on the good guy side? Or was Johnny was the only one that was left out?
I meant Stryker.
Well, he wasn't in the first movie. Stryker wasn't. No, I think Johnny and Sonya and Lou were the only ones in the first movie.
Well, and there was this side character that came with Johnny, but he died by Goru at the beginning.
Yeah, and he wasn't in the games per se.
So Johnny was the only one that was missing, really. Okay. So now it's all about all the newer characters, and they pretty much fleshed out all the older characters.
Total Khan would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, and he's Native American, I believe, too, right?
He's Aztec, like an Aztec Mayan type home. It's just not really that type of character. He's just part
of
that
world. What about the Emperor?
Shao Kahn's going to be in there for sure. Yeah. I would expect him to be in there.
My idea of what they're doing from everything I've researched is what we got was pre-tournament. Then we're going to get tournament. And then the one after the tournament, because they're planning 4 movies, would be Shao Kahn coming and be like this, I'm sick of the tournament. I'm just going to fight you like Annihilation. And then the fourth one is supposed to be like what happens after Shao Kahn is eliminated. So they have enough story for bringing all sorts of characters.
Oh, of course they do, man. They got 6, man. Again, they have 30 years worth of story arcs in different ways that they've told this story numerous times.
Okay.
I mean, you had the like Graven and I mentioned on the conversation. You had the web series they did with Michael Jai White. You had there's tons of stories they've told over 30 years. Like they got a lot of stories they could pick from. So I mean, they if they're going to continue this and try and continue this from this point forward as a franchise, I mean, it's definitely got a lot of legs to it. We could be seeing these movies for the next 20 years.
Depending if the story is good.
I just want to see both in video game and movie. I want to see my Big Trouble in Little China crossover with Mortal Kombat. That's all I want to see. I can die happy because let's really be honest. If it wasn't for Big Trouble in Little China, they wouldn't have any inspiration for Mortal Kombat. I don't care what the creators say. They love Big Trouble in China just as much as we all do. And they pulled from that movie and that mythos for some of these characters.
Well, then we could get John Carpenter to direct the next Mortal Kombat.
Right?
Hey, man, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think, we've been talking about this for a long time. The fact that the Big Trouble in Little China universe should just somehow find its way to meld in. I mean, now at this point we're going to get into some because we're talking Big Trouble in Little China, the Golden Child,
Last Starfighter, Bruce Leroy, Last Dragon.
Yeah, like if they started melding all these things into one universe, how cool could that end up being? But I mean, we don't live in a world of intellectual and logical thinking anymore. It's just all about the quick dollar.
And if you think about it, the 80s took a bigger chance on movies, even if they were crap.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I feel like if Mortal Kombat was a game that came out in the 80s on some sort of system, I feel like we probably would have had a Mortal Kombat franchise.
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, they tried it when they tried it last time. What was it, the early 90s? When they tried it, and I feel like the first movie was great, and I don't know how they could fall so bad between the first and the second movie. The second movie was just so horrible. Like
the recasting was horrible.
Everything was horrible, man. Like it was so bad. I mean, the whole.
But secretly, we all know Rick goes into the closet and watches Annihilation.
Oh no! I watch it when I take a poop. It's my poop movie. It helps everything move. It helps everything excavate quickly.
And you need to take a shower afterwards.
Yeah, well, I have to. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get to see another one of this. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath. I mean, like I said, it was a fun movie while it was on the screen. I definitely felt left down or let down with a lot of the plot holes in the hodgepodge that was the middle of the movie. But obviously, everyone here is going to see part 2 when it comes out. I mean, well, that's the thing. If and when it comes out, and God willing, everything is back to quote unquote normal, which I don't believe everything will be back to normal. I think it'll be a new normal. But if it comes out in the movie theaters, the question will be then: do you pay money to go see part 2, or do you wait till it comes out on HBO Max or whatever?
Depends on the trailer. Because the trailer of this Mortal Kombat movie would have made me go see it in theater.
Same here.
But that's what exactly what I'm saying though. The trailer for this movie would have made you go see it, but now that you've seen it, you know what I'm saying, would you go pay money to see it again? No.
I'm happy it was on HBO Max.
Yeah, exactly. So the next trailer might be just as good, which means the next movie might be just as bad. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's just so unfortunate, man. They built great atmosphere with that trailer.
Yeah.
Like that scene when we saw, I was sold when Jack shot the shotgun in front of Bihan in Sub-Zero, and he froze the bullets coming out, and that music, that atmosphere, I was like, this is good. We're going to have some fun here.
I remember you were watching it in Russian.
I was like, I was like, this is great. I'm excited, and then all of a sudden, you didn't get any of that. The trailer sold us something that didn't happen. And that's what really frustrated me about this film. I was telling you earlier, and I don't know if some of the people out there may feel this way, but how does this movie make the 95 movie better? Like, it actually watching this one made me like the other one even more, with the cheese and all. Because, I don't know about you, but the musical hits from that movie score, from the original, was phenomenal. And it built up tension with the fights. Yeah. So every time they got ready to fight, you were ready, and when that Test Your Might came on, you're like, it's on. It's about to go down.
Don't even get it twisted, especially back then. Now you're kind of, it still kind of, gets to you a little bit, but now it's kind of cheesy. But when it was original back in the day, whenever you're like, oh, something's about to happen.
Shang Tsung would say a fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was like you knew, it's about to get, it's going down, and then
the fights weren't that bad.
The fights weren't bad at all, and then in between the fight scenes, you had like the Orbital soundtrack, like that was very ethereal, and I love that soundtrack to this day. I love that soundtrack. It had a really cool ethereal feel to it, and that whole movie had music that helped put it together, and it helped the emotional, ride of the movie, where this movie was devoid of anything musical as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So it was a huge miss on that part. I don't understand why they didn't play like, other than the what Chase talked about. We were talking off the camera. Like, there was a little scene where you kind of heard a ding 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 ding, like really small in the background. It's like, you gonna tell me this whole movie I didn't play the main theme song not one time?
Right.
Come on. I didn't get that.
We were robbed.
Yeah,
we were robbed.
A good soundtrack could have made this movie a lot better.
Oh yeah, like they should have.
If it just had a good soundtrack, this movie would have went a lot higher, in my opinion.
They should have thought of that. I don't understand why they were totally divorced from that premise. When their first movie was really that soundtrack. I bought that soundtrack, the CD.
Me
for
too.
That. And that was a dope CD, man. Like, it was
KMFDM, Typo Negative,
Makes you want to get up and dance.
How many kids went outside after they watched that movie and thought they were martial artists and put on that song, Test Your Might, and it just started doing fucking moves. Guarantee you.
Not even that. You can go on YouTube right now and pull up, amateur kung fu videos and tell me how many ones you hear that song come on.
You find out Scott Adkins became a martial artist due to Mortal Kombat soundtrack.
I wish Scott Adkins was in this movie, but
he would be a good Johnny.
Oof.
If you change his hair.
Well, I don't know. I almost feel like he's too good.
He's a good actor.
He's a great actor. I just feel like he's almost too good for Johnny.
Yeah, he's too good for Johnny.
Yeah, I'd almost find a different role for him, but I don't know.
Kenshi.
Okay.
I still think Keanu would be a perfect Kenshi because of 47 Ronin.
Oh yeah, the Blind Samurai.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. It might be a little on the nose because of who it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't disagree. No, I think it would be interesting to see him play the role. But that also wouldn't probably be a bad idea with Scott Adkins either, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. But anyway, well, I think that about wraps it up. I mean, I think that we've talked as much. We've tried to give as much positivity to the movie as we could. And again, I'm sure a lot of people love the movie, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, obviously, there are people here that enjoyed the movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's hard to not see the plot holes in the things that the areas they dropped the ball on in this movie. And that's the only thing for me when I watch other people who review the movie, where it's like they don't see any negatives in the movie. And it's not about seeing a negative. It's just about noticing where things could have been better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And every movie, it doesn't matter how great a movie is, every movie has its flaws. So,
True.
If you're going to come on here and try and say this movie was perfect and it was amazing and had no flaws, then you are just drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm sorry. So, so that's pretty much all this is, man. I mean, if you like the movie out there, you guys enjoyed it, then that's fine. Good on you.
Yeah.
If you have some gripes about it, put it in the comment section below. Let us know what you guys thought about the movie and what you would like to see in the second movie, and spark a conversation, and we'll join you guys on the conversation. That's what we like to do. So, that being said, I want to thank my nerd brethren for coming on here and talking with us. Real quick, Graven, tell us where people can find you. Chase, tell us where people can find you. We'll start with Chase. Where can people find you, Chase?
My Instagram account, Chasing Horror Productions.
All right. And Mr. Graven?
Yeah, Art of Ravenwolf always. You can find on all my social media there, all the information about what I do, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Reach out to me and connect. And I also want to add on a tidbit. It was far better than Godzilla versus King Kong. Mortal Kombat. Far better than that. I'll say that much. I enjoyed it better than that.
This should
I
be...
fell asleep person watching Godzilla vs. Kong. I didn't fall asleep watching Mortal Kombat.
How dare you? No, I'm just joking. This should be an interesting comment section. All right. And as of me, I am the Bloody Nerd, and you can always come check me out, as well as my League of Extraordinary Friends here on the Bloody Nerd channel. Come back, check us out. We'll do more reviews, we'll do more talks, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.